She is actually outside of the premiere right now where everything is going on, protesting Blake Lively.
One glamorous red carpet appearance can launch a Hollywood star to dazzling new heights, or drag them under in an instant. That's exactly what happened when Blake Lively stepped out at the Another Simple Favor premiere at SXSW. Instead of thunderous applause, she encountered silent stares and shocking displays of protest that left everyone wondering if her career had just flatlined. Fans who once adored her lit up social media with questions about hidden feuds, legal battles, and a swirl of controversies that no one saw coming. With each fresh rumor, it seems Blake Lively's future in Hollywood hangs by a thinner and thinner thread. Could this be the final chapter of what was once a golden, envy-inducing career? The moment Blake arrived at the premiere, the atmosphere felt off, like stepping into a party where the hosts were on the verge of an argument, but trying to smile for the guests. Initially, photographers called her name, and she gave them that classic, radiant smile. But as soon as she turned to greet the fans, the tension tore right through the gloss. A small but determined group stood there, holding signs that read, "Justice for Justin Baldoni," and "Blake lied." Many observers assumed it was a stunt or a misguided joke. Instead, it turned into a full-blown public protest against Blake and the complicated legal battle that had been brewing behind the scenes. Within moments, the red carpet spectacle shifted from Hollywood glitz to Hollywood meltdown. Fans with front-row access posted real-time videos, capturing not only Blake's forced grin but the onlookers' puzzled expressions. The headlines wrote themselves, "Protesters confront Blake Lively at SW premiere." And once the pictures hit social media, the story blew up faster than any big-budget trailer. Meanwhile, insiders whispered that this was more than just a fan backlash. It was a warning sign that the entire entertainment industry had started questioning its one-time golden girl. Perhaps it's just a rough patch, some speculated. Others said it was the tip of the iceberg and that deeper, career-ending fractures had formed long before this moment. Whatever the truth, that uneasy energy followed her for the rest of the night, confirming that something had gone seriously wrong in Blake Lively's world. And the biggest signal came from the person who once stood by her side with half-hearted smiles, Anna Kendrick. From the first handshake at the Another Simple Favor set years ago, fans tried to spin stories of a blossoming friendship between Anna Kendrick and Blake Lively. Social media was awash with side-by-side photos, jokes shared in interviews, and a curated PR narrative that painted them as Hollywood BFFs. But it only took a few subtle body language cues to suspect otherwise. Anna's sarcastic humor and Blake's carefully structured persona often collided in interviews, leading to awkward, fleeting moments that couldn't be hidden by forced laughter. When Anna arrived at SXS, eyebrows immediately rose. She greeted the cameras, made polite small talk, but avoided any mention of Blake's name. Reporters, ever eager for a soundbite, pushed for cheerful comments about how excited she must be to reunite with Blake. Anna's reply, "Oh, you know," echoed through the crowd like an ice-cold wind. No flattery, no scripted warm remarks, just a blunt, dismissive hint that she wanted no part of whatever PR spin Blake might be peddling. People who watched that moment described it as the coldest brush-off they'd seen in years. Some said it was the culmination of a simmering conflict that had started on the first film and never really went away. Anna was done pretending she was excited for another round of forced best friend press tours. The tension was so tangible that it overshadowed the typical sparkle and glam of a movie premiere. By the time Anna stepped off the red carpet, social feeds were erupting with speculation about their relationship. But Anna's crisp dismissal was only one blow in a series that kept raining down on Blake's reputation. Blake Lively once held the fashion world in the palm of her hand. She glided effortlessly from one Chanel event to another Gucci launch, raking in compliments for her style and poise. Casting directors wanted her in their films. Designers yearned for her endorsement. For a while, she was the personification of Hollywood cool, a star who seemed to handle fame with enviable ease. But behind the red carpet appearances and talk show smiles, rumors circulated about her relentless need for control. Former co-stars from her Gossip Girl days dropped guarded hints that Blake was far from the easygoing persona she projected. Some said she micromanaged her image down to the smallest detail. Others claimed she weaponized charm, forging alliances when they benefited her brand, then ghosting people once she got what she needed. When deals with major fashion houses began falling apart, insiders chalked it up to creative differences. But an industry that once adored her started withdrawing invitations. Rumblings of financially irresponsible to cast her trickled through talent agencies. Then came Another Simple Favor, which was supposed to cement a comedic, edgy synergy with Anna Kendrick. Yet, from the first press tour, the tension overshadowed the film itself. Interviews felt forced, online fans dissected every quip for hidden jabs, and both actresses seemed relieved when the promotional run ended. Now, standing at the SXU premiere for its sequel, the air had grown icy. Designers who once clamored for Blake's endorsements appeared ambivalent or outright missing from the event. Quietly, Hollywood was closing ranks, and it wasn't just her brand image in trouble. A legal storm brewing in the background was about to upend everything. Justin Baldoni was never an A-list name like Ryan Reynolds or Anna Kendrick, yet he carried a loyal fan base from his own projects. When accusations surfaced that Blake had filed a lawsuit against him, the public initially took her side. After all, she was the big star, the face known around the world. But then Baldoni's team leaked documents suggesting the lawsuit was built on shaky claims that some critics believed Blake had exaggerated to gain sympathy or quiet certain unflattering rumors about herself. Emails, text messages, and testimonies came to light, poking glaring holes in her narrative. People who once lined up to defend her found themselves double-checking the facts. Suddenly, it appeared that this was less about justice and more about revenge. Whispers emerged that Blake had tried to weaponize the Me Too movement, a serious matter that Hollywood takes to heart. If her lawsuit was purely a strategy to cast herself as a victim for PR leverage, the damage would be irreversible. Her supporters insisted she was genuinely wronged, and that Baldoni was the manipulator. But each time new evidence surfaced, the conversation tilted further away from Blake's favor. Even fans who gave her the benefit of the doubt started to question whether she'd orchestrated the entire debacle to stay relevant. All the while, the cost of legal proceedings racked up. Major law firms that once might have fought tooth and nail for a star of her caliber seemed wary of attaching their names to her case. By the time of the premiere, it wasn't just about defending her reputation in tabloids. It was about whether she would emerge from this with a career or a mountain of debt and irreparable public scorn. For years, Ryan Reynolds managed to maintain a squeaky clean profile. He was the witty, self-deprecating actor who made Deadpool a runaway success and bantered with fans on social media. His marriage to Blake Lively was portrayed as goals, a charming duo known for their humorous jabs at one another online. But nobody accounted for what might happen if Blake's controversies spiraled out of control. As soon as the lawsuits, rumors, and protests began piling up, Ryan found himself in uncharted territory. Marvel, known for safeguarding its brand like a fortress, watched the drama unfold with growing concern. Executives reportedly started grumbling that any negative fallout attached to Ryan's family could leak into the hype machine for Deadpool 3. Though it's never been confirmed that he lost any specific role, the murmur among industry professionals was that Ryan needed to distance himself from Blake's meltdown, or risk tarnishing his own carefully built image. He tried using his comedic charm to do damage control, even cracking a misguided joke about the situation on a live broadcast. Unfortunately for him, the audience didn't laugh. Instead, the silence was deafening, underscoring that real-world controversies don't vanish with a bit of sarcasm. At the same time, some fans wondered why Ryan hadn't outright defended his wife more aggressively. Others argued that maybe he knew this legal fight could sink them both if he leaned in too far. As the memes multiplied and the gossip mill turned faster, it was clear Ryan's brand was tied tightly to Blake's. And that, for the first time ever, was beginning to look like a liability. It wasn't that long ago that Blake Lively was on every must-invite celebrity list, setting trends at fashion shows and starring in glossy magazine covers praising her timeless elegance. Now, studio executives whispered that she'd become too high risk to cast. Some rumored she had cost various film projects undisclosed sums in production delays due to her demands. Others spoke of a blacklisting so subtle yet potent that her name was simply never brought up in casting meetings. Financially, the hits kept coming. Certain brand endorsements quietly ended as soon as headlines turned sour. Nobody issued an official statement. They just slipped away, letting the uproar fizzle without them. Her lawyers, once considered top tier, allegedly withdrew from the case for irreconcilable differences. Whether that was code for "we see the writing on the wall" or some internal dispute, it only fueled more speculation. At the heart of this freefall sat a woman who had once been viewed as unstoppable. The shift from being the industry's sweetheart to its outcast seemed alarmingly swift. But if insiders were to be believed, the seeds of this decline had been planted for years. The tension with co-stars, the rumored controlling nature on set, the carefully orchestrated PR stunts that eventually became too transparent, all of it combined into a toxic cocktail that finally exploded in public. Her attempts at rebranding, be it as a champion of women's rights or a comedic force, came across as transparent pivots. And every pivot left more fans feeling she was losing her authenticity bit by bit. The protests at SXSU were merely the visible tip of something bigger. Online communities that had once lavished love on Blake Lively turned skeptical overnight. Hashtags ridiculing her statements trended on social social platforms. Memes depicting her as a puppet master, controlling narratives for her own gain, spread far and wide. Even tabloids that normally churn out glowing Hollywood fluff took a more ruthless approach, repeatedly pointing out inconsistencies in her stories. Comment sections brimmed with former fans recalling how they'd once admired her for taking creative risks or championing certain social causes. Now, they felt betrayed, unsure if her activism was genuine or just another method to dominate headlines. Even neutral observers noted how quickly the court of public opinion had flipped. The meltdown was partly comedic fodder, but also served as a grim reminder that modern audiences hate feeling duped. I used to look up to her style and confidence. One viral post read, "Now, I'm not sure if anything about her was real." While some continued defending her, the defenders struggled to quell the tsunami of criticism and mockery. Whether she was guilty of blatant manipulation or merely caught in an avalanche of misunderstandings, the public had already made its call. And if there's one place more brutal than Hollywood's boardrooms, it's the digital spaces where fans turn on celebrities in a snap. In the end, this saga is far from a simple question of good versus evil. It's a tangle of clashing stories, bruised egos, and a Hollywood machine that devours stars as quickly as it exalts them. Blake Lively's red carpet appearance at SXSW may be remembered as the moment everything fell apart in plain sight. The protest signs, the cold shoulder from Anna Kendrick, the wave of rumors cresting at a public event, each element signaled that her star power might be fading faster than anyone predicted. And yet, in a world where celebrity comebacks are as common as controversies, it's risky to declare anyone's fall final. Could she rebound with a carefully staged apology tour or a groundbreaking new role? Possibly. Hollywood loves a redemption story almost as much as it loves a sensational downfall. Still, this tumble feels different. The anger swirling online and the quiet rejection from peers hint that this isn't just another scandal to be swept under the rug. Where Blake Lively once stood at the apex of style and influence, she now faces an uncertain horizon. Audiences have grown cynical, co-stars have iced her out, and the lawsuit that was meant to vindicate her has seemingly backfired. The question left hanging is whether she'll vanish behind the scenes, laying low until the heat dies down, or if she'll attempt a dramatic return, hoping the public's memory has softened. For now, the final verdict belongs not to a judge in a courtroom, but to the fans, the industry powerbrokers, and the relentless swirl of public opinion. And if her story proves anything, it's that the higher you climb in Hollywood, the harder the fall when everything goes wrong.